you may look without and see, oh, this is what's happening to my relationships, and this is what's happening to my mindset, and this is what's happening to my health, and this is what's happening to my, my wealth, and this is what's okay, get it. But they're reflections of what's happening on the inside. So if you wish to be the hero that you've been waiting for, you turn that attention right back within. You find the right kind of community, the right kind of mentors, the right kind of teachers, and you write down your why. And the stronger the why, the higher you fly.
Aside from my soul.
Welcome to the Inspired Evolution. It is, oh my God, it's a ridiculous treat to be here today. We've got with us Dr. Espen Hjalmby. Espen, how are you, brother bear?
Oh, I'm so excited, mate. Last time I was here, I was talking about this for a long time, and I know we're going to go even deeper today. So I'm pumped for the listeners and viewers. Yeah, let's have a good time, man. I'm honored to be back.
Man, it's always a pleasure having you on. And guys, do please tune in to the previous episode because we go through, Espen's been through this epic healing journey, which he's brought back. So I'm going to try and do a quick little synopsis, which definitely doesn't do it justice. Please go check out the other episode it'll inspire your legs off, but I probably shouldn't say that because he went from 2 broken legs to a near-death hospital infection to which he healed himself from, and he did this inside out, right? And then he went on to become Australian Ninja Warrior, became the semi-finalist of that, and he's basically gone from neuroscience and quantum physics is his passion for research. He's turned into this master healer. He's a conscious business mentor, and he's created 4 7-figure SoulPreneur opportunities. Like, it's incredible what he's managed to achieve after being at literally rock bottom, guys. He offers, he's a sought-after speaker. He's got this conscious business consultant and quantum coach. But the key thing in there is, which we would love to unpack, is this quantum experience, this signature quantum experience that you've put together, brother. There is so much in there about your healing journey. And I wanted to go deeper because I remember last time we were speaking, we didn't really uncover what were the blocks to people from actually really diving deep into this awareness of the quantum. Like, I guess we start with probably the low-hanging fruit is, what does potential mean to you and what does quantum mean to you? You can pick either one to answer first, but what is potential? What is quantum? And then we'll put the two together.
Excellent question. Okay, so for those listening and watching, this is a good time to lean in and be present because we're going to unpack what science says about the nature of reality, what science says about the truth of optimal potential, and how we are literally scientifically proven playing at very, very, very small levels of that potential unless we learn to leverage and lean into what we're about to discuss today. So to take us back a little bit, over 100 years ago, there was an incredible man by the name of Max Planck, Planck, and he won a Nobel Prize for the conversation that we're having now, which is the discovery of a unified field, the discovery of a field of intelligence that, in fact, now scientifically proven, trialed and tested. They've tried to debunk this for over 100 years. They still can't do it today. Still true today. The best researchers and scientists and physicians in the world know this. If you've really studied properly and you look outside the surface, you actually see that 99.9, and if you wish to be specific, 99.9, there's 8 nines, percent of us, so call it 99% to be rough, percent of you, of me, of everyone watching and listening, we're actually made up of 99.9% non-physical. So that is pure energy potential. That is energy, frequency, vibration. Okay. Einstein used to say, what is this field? What is this? He used to call it spooky action at a distance, right? And so scientifically, we call it now the quantum field. Okay. So this now shows us, again, scientifically proven, not esoteric conversation, a scientific conversation, that less than 1% of what we do, of who we are and what we can achieve is based in that physical realm, the materialistic realm, the body, the mind, the emotion, etc. And so then if we understand that this is now science, this is fact, then the question is, why are we then within healthcare, within personal development, within any kind of thing that we're trying to achieve, really only leveraging the physical? It's
the
more so
0.001%, the 0.01%.
Exactly right. And for me as a primary healthcare physician, you know, when I did my whole healthcare journey, I mean, we started up multiple companies. We owned 10 multidisciplinary health clinics. I was hiring medical doctors and dentists and chiros and physios and yoga teachers and nutritionists and naturopaths. I mean, we had it all. And so we know what it's like to combine the allopathic or the old school medical model with a call it a integrative style model, holistic even model. So we've done it and that worked, but it wasn't until we applied what we're discussing today that our patients and our students had results beyond measure. So what each and every person can do is simply answer this question. I'll give you this question and you can answer it for yourself. And as the listeners and viewers go through this, please answer this for yourself as well. There's no right or wrong answer. Okay. So let me give you two possible scenarios. Scenario number one, scenario number two. Okay. Number one is the scenario for you if you believe that you're only made up of flesh and bone. Okay. So scenario number one is, okay, I believe that I'm only physical, only materialistic is the only reality. And that's it. That's scenario one. Okay. Scenario number two is for you if you believe that perhaps there is a spirit or a soul or some sort of energy, something more to you than just the physical. Okay. That's scenario number two. So which one do you believe?
Scenario number two.
Right? With the work that you do, that's a gift. And I'll tell you what, having done this with tens of thousands of people in live audiences, it is sometimes one or two people in the audience raising their hand for scenario number one. Now, I'm not saying they're wrong because we are also physical in nature, but the overwhelming majority, 99+% of people know in their heart of hearts that there's more to us than just the physical flesh and bone. There is a field of intelligence. Now, this is the number one law of 12 universal laws, the law of oneness. And so we are unique expressions, if you will, of, call it energy, call it source. If you want to keep it scientific, you know, call it the quantum field. I like to call it God, the greater organized design, you know, refer to it in whichever way you would like. But here's the key. The interference, and we'll get to this, I think, in the next question, but the interference to this, what's stopping us from leveraging this untapped potential, what's stopping us from connecting with spirit, with soul, with being in flow with the universe, that is what we teach. And this is what's so crucial today, because this stuff is not new. This has been around since the start of the universe. This has been discovered for thousands of years ago, but it was either hidden or forgotten, perhaps a combination of both. And now that there's this, you know, pandemic, post-pandemic situation, we're learning to look within, and people are now starting to discover that, as I say, they don't have to go without if they go within. And that's where it all starts, to discover this quantum potential.
And is that one of the key resistances then, is to venture inwards rather than outwards? What is the key resistance to us expanding into, dare I say, the whole 99.9%, but to venture towards that direction, moving away from just that, I don't want to say move away, but integrating parts of that 99% from that 1% that is our physical? What are the resistance pieces? Like, I'll be the first to put my hand up. Okay, cool. So like, I know that I believe in more. Yeah. And I have a certain connection and a dialogue with that more. But even in a, you know, following your journey, like, do you ask for healing, or is there a resistance to asking, or like, what is it? How do I connect to my intentions to that quantum field? How do I connect to the quantum field? And what is the resistances for most people doing that?
Okay, so in essence, it's an awesome question, right? But in essence, the first thing to realize now is that many people will be listening to this going, oh, okay, maybe that makes sense, but I don't really believe it. Or yeah, I believe it, but indeed, how do I do it? The first thing to realize is that if you wish to manifest anything that you wish in life, you don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you are vibrationally. So if you recognize this, that, okay, so, you know, because if you did manifest what you want, you'd say, I want $1 million, I want $1 million, I want $1 million, you have $1 million. So why didn't you get $1 million? Well, because you weren't at the vibrational frequency that attracts it, because you attract based on that vibrational frequency. So then what is the key to having the life that you want? Well, it's of course then, again, scientifically proven, this leverages 3 of the 12 universal laws, including the law of vibration, which is that if you wish to have beauty, love, abundance, grace, gratitude, you know, success, fulfillment, love, presence, all of those things in your life, then you have to raise your vibration which is just not just the vibration, but energy, frequency, vibration, and coherence, to the level where you attract it. So then the question is, well, how do we do that? How do I elevate my frequency to get to a level of living the life that I want? Well, firstly, the number one block to living a beautiful life are those lower frequency emotions that we feel so often.
Right. The emotions.
Okay. The emotions. Now, you remember everything is energy, right? And if everything is energy, for me, I've heard it said emotion is emotion, energy, and motion. But like a river flowing down a creek, if the river flows down a creek, no problem, you can drink it unless it's contaminated because it's in movement. This is called the law of perpetuating energy because it keeps moving. You know, energy is never lost, it keeps moving. Well, the moment energy, such as a negative thought repeating itself, a negative emotion repeating itself, a trauma from the past that has not been healed and assimilated, the moment that does not continue to flow, the moment it becomes, as a physician, used to call it a diagnosis or a disease. Now I call it an issue in the tissue. The moment the energy stagnates, right, and can't move. You tell me if water flows down the creek and suddenly it gets stuck and stagnates, and if it's not moving for a long period of time, what happens to the water, the health of the water?
Starts to become compromised. Yeah, for sure.
Goes off. You can't drink it. If it's been there for 3 months, you drink it, you're going to have a really sore tummy, right? So the whole point is to understand these universal laws. And if you, like we believe, those listeners out there, and if you haven't chosen already, choose one or two right now. And most people will say two. I believe that I'm, perhaps a soul having a human experience, whatever you might call it. If that's the case, then you are already super conscious. In the essence of who you are, nothing's missing. You have everything you need. So if we're not broken, if we're not sick, if nothing's wrong, then why are we experiencing
these physical manifestations? Yeah.
Exactly. Because of the levels of interference, because of the issues in the tissues where the energy is not moving. So what we do is, one, we help people become conscious of this. What is your fear, for example, compared to mine? Okay. What is your greatest guilt compared to mine? What is your shame? What is your grief? And when each person gets the opportunity to leave the 5% of the brain that we're currently leveraging, that we're conscious of, and venture into a deeper, more profound opportunity to see things, to be conscious of things. So hang on. So I was bullied when I was 7. I got in a fight when I was 7. There was a wound that my mum, separated from my father. I had some challenges. Well, that's still driving the wound today, and for many people. And so if we don't catch it, it repeats itself like a program on the computer over and over and over again till you update that thing, till you upgrade the thing, right? And so the first step is to become conscious of what are the blocks, the traumas, the indoctrinations, the lower frequency emotions, the negative or limiting beliefs that is keeping you stuck. Once you see them, and you're conscious of them, you may or may not choose to turn that fear to fuel, to liberate that stuck energy and literally use it as momentum in your life. And it works for every single person, every single time, because it's universal law. The question is, are you willing to sacrifice the time, the money, the energy to sit with yourself, to sit with your wounds and to do this work? Or would you like to kind of push it down and suppress it and have it kind of, my philosophy is it'll catch up to you at some point, because the universe will give you lessons until we listen. So for us in our community, we lean in to good stress, to this kind of both sacred and scientific healing, because it allows us to liberate energy and in turn liberate ourselves.
Thanks for sharing that, bro. That's deep. And so from there, one of the questions that emerges for me is how the mirror, because I know for myself, like recently I've been, touch wood, becoming a father has been this epic blessing in the journey. I know it's total
best thing in the world.
It's ridiculous. Actually, can't even talk about it. I'm gonna try, but one of the things that I'm noticing is, and me being a bit esoteric in my ways, the way I sort of dialogue it is, I can see that there are things in my patterns and behaviors that I can see my son doesn't want. And now that's like a really, what are you really saying? but I can see that there are things that potentially I don't want to hand on, because one of the realizations I've had is he is not going to pick up what I say.
Exactly.
Even now, he's like just turned 1, yeah, but he's already doing what I do and what my wife does and what his family does. And in that, I can sort of see, okay, me walking around the house containing anger, containing shame, containing guilt, is then me vibrating at that frequency, that denser frequency that you were talking about. And I can see the consequence of it, like after, and I can see like, oh, like I'm interacting with my wife a certain way. He's watching that behavior being modeled. He's going to model that behavior. And the blessing for me, touch wood, and I'm hoping, I hope everybody has something like this in their life, is, it's uncomfortable, but every now and then my wife will hold up a mirror and be like, can you see it? Like, hey, can you see it? And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, actually. And my initial response, I'm definitely not enlightened. Just my initial response is, no.
Of course. Ego loves that.
Yeah, and then I'll probably go
we all do that.
Have a shower or something, and I'll come back with my tail between my legs and be like, damn it, yeah.
Exactly.
And so but I see a mirror, and I find that extremely instrumental, touch wood, for me having a look at some of the darker places, because there's no real, when the patterns are in there, there's a couple of things, right? We don't want to look at them because they're mostly embedded in as a defense system, is kind of my awareness of them, right? Like,
yes,
they dropped in because you were trying to defend yourself from something or a trauma, like you said, that happened early on, and you try to dissociate and you come up with this coping mechanism, and that limiting belief, that denser frequency, that pattern of behavior drops in. How do I encourage myself to even like look at that when it's like without the influence of the other? Or is why there's experiences that we need to potentially get along to so we can be witnessed by the other? And what are some of the tools in there to do it to ourselves, basically, is what I'm trying to hope to look for.
To do it to yourself?
Yeah.
This can be challenging.
Yeah.
Because this brings back the opportunity for us to, ask the question, are we conscious, and how deep do we want to go? Okay. How deep do we want to go? And when we get the answer to that question, you will see that you get results in direct proportion to the energy and effort that you're willing to put in. What I mean by that is that some people say, I want to be a professional tennis player. Okay. And then if that is the case, there is sacrifice to get there. You're not going to say, I'm going to be a professional tennis player, but I'm not going to take any action until I'm a pro. We do it though in personal development. We do it in business. Oh, no, I'm not going to invest in a new coach. I'm not going to invest in myself. I'm not going to lean into discomfort to be the best that I can be, and let go and let go and let go and let go and die to the old ways and surrender and trust and receive, unless we have a big enough why. And here's the key. All the how to do this, how to do that, all the how takes care of itself when the why, the reason why, is big enough. You mentioned before your little boy. How old is he? 1?
Yeah, 1. Yeah.
Okay, right. So listen to this. You're working on yourself to be the best that you can be for yourself and for whatever else, but also, as you mentioned, for him. So I used to be a teacher in schools in Norway, where I'm from. And when I graduated as a phys ed teacher and I started teaching in schools, I recognized that the children that were unwell and unhappy weren't unwell and unhappy. The majority of them weren't unwell and unhappy because they were born that way. They were mirroring their parents. They were overweight, not because they had a genetic predisposed condition as such, mostly, but their parents were unhealthy. So I left the the education system because I did not want to be a part of a broken system. And I did not want to teach things that were outdated. Now we're teaching the bigger kids, such as you and I, as to how we can do it. And so the question is, well, how do we do it? Honestly, have a massive why. If you don't have a huge reason to do anything, just don't even bother. Okay? Because it's no point setting out to sail across the sea if you don't have a big enough why, because the moment it gets tough, you give up.
You drop out. So
what I'd do right now, firstly, I'd go back and listen to this again as many times as needed for this to really fire and wire in your nervous system for those who are appreciating this type of content. And secondly, I'd pause this and I'd and take this time, unless you're driving, continue to listen and go back again and listen again and pause it. Grab that pen and write out your why. Why is it important for you to be at your A game? Why is it critical for you to be like you said, a parent of a pure vessel, so that you can lead the way for future generations to come? Why should we sacrifice, time, energy, and money working on ourselves? Well, for me, it's a given. I've been unhealthy. I've almost died several times. I've done the opposite of what I'm doing now many, many times deliberately to see how it felt. And when I didn't eat healthy, when I didn't do breath work, when I didn't meditate, when I didn't associate with the right kind of people, when I didn't pray, when I didn't cultivate gratitude, I was stinking thinking it was shit. And I've been there. I'm not willing. So it's like, why do you exercise and do detoxes? And why do you intermittent fast? And why do you pray? And why do you do gratitude journals? It's like, because I know what it feels like when I don't. Okay. So that's a huge freaking why, because this is my life. I'm here. I get this shot in this body now. So this is what I'm going to do. Secondly, I do it for my son, because a lot of the challenges that I've had in my life has come from me being indoctrinated by my parents, unconsciously not knowing what they were passing on to me. And it took me, for example, my financial block, my money block, my feeling of money not being safe, took me 15 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars. I spent over $2 million in personal development. I would say at least a quarter of that was on the money side of things. And when that block was removed and I dropped into knowing that I'm guided and seeing the money come in, 7-figure business, another 7-figure business, another 7-figure business, and diversified portfolios, and you name it. Now, here's the key. It wasn't the money that was the problem. It was my mindset and my consciousness that was the problem. So again, you may look without and see, oh, this is what's happening to my relationships, and this is what's happening to my mindset, and this is what's happening to my health, and this is what's happening to my, my wealth, and this is what's okay, get it. But they're reflections of what's happening on the inside. So if you wish to be the hero that you've been waiting for, you turn that attention right back within. You find the right kind of community, the right kind of mentors, the right kind of teachers, and you write down your why. And the stronger the why, the higher you fly.
Boom. Okay, let's take an example that I've got, which is anger, right? So there's this baseline frustration that emerges itself, and there's bits of anger in there. And so my massive why is I want a peaceful home for my son, for my wife. I want this sanctuary at home, right? And I've been working on it. Like, I've been working on it a minute, right? And it's been really beautiful. And it's not like I'm a rageaholic or something. It's just like there's almost like a, when I'm tired, and you'll know from parenting, it's like the sleeplessness is this amazing thing. I've been dialoguing it as like your resilience just comes down and your shadows just jump over the wall now, because you can just sort of go, oh, like there's no resilience for you to be like previously. Anything that frustrated you sort of stayed back behind this wall of resilience. And now your resilience is just eaten away because you got no sleep and things are just popping over the fence. And you're like, what? I'm behaving like, what, wait, whoa, what is this? And it's amazing, right? But it's not for those around you.
Children are beautiful teachers.
And so in that, like wanting, like the massive why is peace, right? Peace. Now, how do I go from that anger and witnessing it and seeing it for what it is? And how do I create, for me, what I think it is creating a space to learn how to respond a different way. I'm looking for that space. Is that what you're trying to cultivate yourself for others? How do I start to transmute anger into peace?
Great question. And of course, anger to peace is in summary, like Einstein said, only two emotions. All other emotions are derivatives of these two emotions. It is fear and love. In neuroscience, we call it the sympathetic nervous system of fight or flight, and the parasympathetic nervous system of rest and digest. It's the darkness and the light, the day and the night, the good and the bad, the right and the wrong, the yin and the yang. This is another universal law, which is the law of duality. And so the first thing to understand is that we are going to experience the whole range of human emotion. So you will be angry. And I hope that you're angry. If someone suddenly does something to your family and you need to protect them, you might need to step into anger. It might be the fight or flight sympathetic response needed for safety of the family. So the first thing to understand is that we own all traits and experience all emotions. So the first thing is not to judge the emotion. because you're judging a part of yourself that may be shadow or may be necessary. It's coming up for a reason. So let go of the judgment first, because the judgment will make it worse. The judgment normally pertains guilt, and with guilt, it makes the situation worse. Okay, so firstly, no judgment. Okay. Secondly, understanding that we are experiencing all these range of emotions. When you do get to the seed of the problem, you really see that anger deep down, normally for the majority of people, is the outer layer of sadness or grief. Okay, so what are we sad about? What are we really grieving here? And then it's to take those necessary steps. Now, normally, to be clear, in a situation like yours, because you are, and I know you well, I know you've traveled the world, you're a conscious man, we talk, we laugh. I mean, I love you dearly. I'm so honored that people are listening to your stuff, bro, because right now, seriously, dude, during this time of what I refer to as the Great Awakening, if we don't listen to the right kind of things, it will drop us straight back into the part of the nervous system that you do not want to be in right now. So again, thank you for doing what you're doing. Okay, so we've got 1, let go of the judgment. 2, understand the seed underneath it that may be the core of it. And to give you some tangibles, I have a lot of energy. All of my life, I've had a lot of energy. I'm blessed with, a large amount of life force. And if that is not channeled accurately, by that I mean, if I do not, and here's something I'd like everyone to write down. Well, basically, it goes like this. Suffering equals living a life that is not aligned with your values. Okay? So if your value system, what's the signature of your soul, expressed in human form, unique to every individual, if that value system and what you truly do love to do is not able to be expressed in your life, then procrastination, hesitation, frustration, desperation, depression, anger, sadness, whatever, will not be something wrong with you, but rather the outside signal of an internal level of interference. Okay, so there are so many different ways to observe these emotions. We've given you, like top 3 tips. Is really good to be able to assimilate this and let go of guilt and then see it differently. But for me, with a lot of energy, and for those of you out there, and this doesn't just mean, oh yes, I have so much energy. It means that you could have a lot of energy built up in you, emotion built up in you, thoughts built up in you. You've been a family man, a family woman for a long time. You got the kids, you got the job, you pay the taxes, you do the thing. You're like, what the F? I need some freedom. I need some expression. I need to punch a boxing bag. I need to scream. I need to, okay, I get it. This is good. Feel. So for me, I place specific procedures in my life. Okay. And these procedures in my life are there as my fallback mechanism, as my accountability partners, as my life by design. So I'll give you an idea. For example, if I don't exercise in the morning, this doesn't always happen, but very often, if I don't do yoga or, today I went to the gym and went to the sauna and did my ice bath and whatever else, if I don't do that in the morning, my frustration is way more palpable when it arrives. And so if I don't do my stretching and my yoga and whatever else, I am not able to assimilate that level of sustainable high frequency as well. So what I do, and this is a big hack for those of you who are after peak performance, is to look at your 1 week, okay, 168 hours, and ask the question, how many of these hours am I living in alignment with what I love to do? Because let's be honest, if you do a whole bunch of shit that you don't like to do, you're going to feel angry. Nothing's wrong with you. It's what you need to feel angry, because it's showing you how much of the time you're doing stuff you don't love. Secondly, within that 168 hours, once I've calculated, and I do this methodically, the number of hours where I'm doing things that I'm passionate about, once I've done that, I can do more of it and hire people to do the things that I don't love, but people that are better at me, and so my business will scale. Right? Simple. Nonetheless, when I look at the 168 hours, I do this strategically by design, and I also place specific accountability measures, such as personal trainers, breathwork coaches, coaches that I work with every single week that will help me go underneath the surface and pull out that, the root of the evil, or assimilate the information, have the breakthrough, have the healing. Because I know, I say I'm going to do yoga 6 a.m. Okay, great. Well, how much more likely am I not to do that yoga class at 6 a.m. if I know I've got someone waiting for me, and they're going to call me at 5:55 if I'm not there, right? So it's about setting the right practice in place to be at your best. And once I've done that, my day starts in bliss. I've done what I need to do. And for some people, you might not be going to the gym. You could go for a walk. You start your day with a glass of water, do some breath work, do some stretching, could be whatever. Go for a surf, right? It's about that individual. But without that conscious practice and without being aware of what kind of people you're associated with, you're obviously going to be experiencing these emotions as feedback mechanisms from the soul, is what I believe.
Boom, dude, I love it. There's two things in there. So the first one is organizing your time in such a way that you're doing things that actually fill up your cup and getting really intentional about what those things are. I think that is vital information for people to like. Really
and that's the key. Let me just jump in quickly. Fill up your cup. Listen to this. Some things, some people will be stealing your life force. Life force. 0 is death. 100 is peak potential, full enlightenment. What are you vibrating at today? Are you at 20, 30, 40? People drag you down. You're at 38. Who drags you down to 30? You're at 38. Who lifts you up to 50? Okay. No judgment, but awareness. This is about life force. Okay. You are a being of life force. To fill up your cup. Yes. What things? This is the question that I would answer. If you really want to hack this at the next level, write this question down. Answer
what
this question.
What a painful audit.
Dude, this is the audit. This is the bomb diggity. This is the great awakening. We don't have time to fluff around. Okay, write down this question. What things and people and situations and circumstances give me life force? And what kind of things do not? And you don't have to go and take action on drawing the swords and everything, even though that's one of my favorite things to do, draw the swords on myself, metaphorically speaking, of course. But without the awareness, there can be no change. So it starts with awareness.
Wow. And by drawing the swords, you're referring to cutting things out that don't serve you.
100%. And one of the greatest things that I've done in the last 2 years of my life, if I can be honest, is to radically self-express myself. Okay, to speak my truth when the truth arrives. I don't go rah, 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 rah from a place of low frequency emotion, judgment, blame, or guilt. But hang on, I'm feeling this way. I'm going to tell you. Okay, and several people around me just started dropping off because they didn't like the awakened me. And new people were coming in going, dude, this is amazing. And I realized that as a flower, I'm here to bloom. To me, to be me, to not to look at the other flower and go, oh my gosh, look at him. He's so beautiful. I should shrink. They both express themselves and love each other just the same, just as they are. So radical self-expression has been absolutely life-changing for me.
And one of my favorite quotes is this Marianne Williamson quote, and I'm going to butcher the living daylights out of it, but it's like, when we give ourselves permission to shine, we unconsciously give others the permission to do the same. And that's been this massive thing for the Inspired Evolution for me. He's just like, keep going on the journey, bro. As you're figuring stuff out, the rest of the world will too. And I'm not ahead of anybody. I usually feel like I'm the dead weight behind everybody, but nonetheless, we're all getting somewhere, like you described. I want to touch into point 2, and at the risk of being a coach and sort of saying, but I have to say, point 2, where you described. I'm going to articulate it in my language because it's the easiest way for me to describe it, right? Is leveraging human connection to get tasks done that serve your soul to the nth degree, right? Like, that is, for me, it's, people go, oh, do I really need coaching? And I don't know how else to answer it. It's like, there are a bunch of stuff that you'd love to get done, right? Like, whether it's that business, whether it's your health, whether it's your relationship, whether it's nutrition, whether it's movement, it could be anything, right? And it's a task that you've been spinning your wheels on in the mud for however long. Like, how long? Tell me, be honest. 6 months, a year, 5 years, a decade? And oftentimes the answers are even within people themselves, but it's just, and I know this for myself, I've always got a coach, right? And I know that just having that coach gives me the responsibility. Now I'm accountable to someone. Certain people are task oriented, some people are people oriented. I'm a people oriented person, but having someone to then report to, like every week my coach drops in with me and it's like, I know that if I haven't done what I said I was going to do, like if it was a task and it was just me left unto my own vices, yeah, sure, I'll just rolling wave. But because now there's another person on the other end of it, it's like, even though it's me that I'm letting down, I don't want to have that awkward conversation with the other person. And connection is something we're so deeply wired for, right? And this comes back to that mirror thing. It's phenomenal, that second point that you pointed in there. I know it sounds like I'm a coach, so I'm like evangelizing coaching, but
this is good.
Really powerful, right?
And it's a fundamental. Personal coaching is the second fastest growing industry in the world just before COVID hit. Okay. And there's a reason for it. You know, when I go to a university, when do I study? The majority of people will study and cram just before the exam, right? Because they've got a there's a deadline at that time, right? When you place yourself deadlines throughout your work, throughout your life, throughout your, mind and spirit, it doesn't make life harder. It makes life even more beautiful because you're creating those checkpoints. You're creating those accountability measures. And I couldn't agree with you more. I can't remember for the life of me, for the last 20 years, I've gone any further than 6 months without having a coach. And that's when I was living in the jungle in Peru. Okay. So and that was
by nature,
and by the medicine, and and actually my detox mentor was there as well. So I did have a coach. Now that I think of it, nonetheless, the idea is really simple. If you want to be a good athlete, you need a coach. You want to be a good human, you need a coach. You want to be a good parent, you need a coach. And so you don't have to, and honestly, you don't need a coach. But if you do want to achieve great things, it's a non-negotiable. It's proven now. So if you love yourself, then take that step. And some might say, oh, well, I don't have the money for a coach right now. Well, fair call. Go and find an accountability partner and stick to it until you get the money, and then hire a good coach. When I know a good coach when I see that they live the way I wish to live, and that they charge me a fee that hurts. Because when they charge me a fee that hurts, oh, you betcha, I'm not there at 5:55. I'm there at 5:30, and I'm ready by the time that person shows up. Because the more sacrifice, the more skin in the game, the more I value it. And I value myself. So I use a lot of my investment in my own development because, in essence, I am the creator of all of those areas of my life.
Thanks for unpacking that, bro. And this is a question we danced around and we talked a little bit about in the last episode as well. Guys, again, please do go check it out. So one of the things in there is, how do we know if our why is connected to our soul, spirit, that 99.99%, or whether it's this 0.01% that we're sort of connecting our why to?
Great question. I know you're Eckhart Tolle certified. This is something that he speaks on really beautifully. He says that when you rely on willpower alone, you will only achieve so much. There is power in the ego, and it will drive you through the masculine, through the rah, and the doingness. Great, you can tick some big boxes. However, the universe loves to create, and when you're not just leveraging willpower alone, but you're tapping into universal law, to the source of all creation. You have tapped into unlimited. That means unlimited energy. So in essence, what it means, and you can assimilate this easy. The things that I do, again, do they give me energy? Because here it is, the difference, right? There's motivation, and then there's inspiration. Okay, so some people say, "Oh, I'm a motivational speaker." I say, "No, I'm not.
It's really
I'm
hard
an inspirational speaker." Because inspiration comes from the inside. Motivation comes from the outside. Okay, motivation is when you say, "I need more motivation to go to the gym or to do whatever." It's like you need a push. Okay, so you tell me, if you need to push something, is that going to require a lot of your energy? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Of course, because you need to push it
from you.
It's an external push, right? I need motivation for this and this. No, that's why you run out of it, because it needs energy. Energy is the very limited resource for many people these days. But inspiration, instead of a push, it's a pull. It pulls you in. It's like, imagine this. You have a young kid. He's 10 years old. He loves video games. The moment his parents out the door, He's on the game. He's in it. And parents come home, can't get him off it. Right. And then they say, please, can you help clean the kitchen? And there's like, not gonna happen. Why? Because he's inspired about video games and he doesn't like the others. Okay. So he needs motivation to go and clean the kitchen. Now, this is one example of an interpretation of your individual unique value system. So if you are clear on your values, family, personal growth, spiritual growth and development, business development, travel, you've been to over 50 countries. Right? If you're clear on your value systems and you live a life aligned with your value systems, then, and here's the key, you don't need motivation. No one needs to tell the kid, play a video game. It will happen. It'll give you energy. So when you're connected to your highest values and you're connected, the lower self, as I call it, the body, the mind, and the emotion, the human experience, is connected to the higher self, the spirit, the soul, consciousness. When the lower self and the higher self is connected, that's in essence like bringing heaven on earth. And heaven on earth is you living a life that is designed for you, a life of inspiration, which from Latin means to live in spirit, in your spirit, in your unique spirit. And so again, that's a difference. So again, how do we do it? Just assimilate what gives you energy, what makes you happy, what makes your heart sing, right? And that's the key.
Draw the swords. So one of the things,
draw the swords on everything else.
Yeah, I love it. And one of the questions I had was, it just escaped me. Okay, well, let's go to the next bit then. So the part I wanted to understand was your background in the physicality of things. Like obviously Kara is a background, yoga is a massive thing. Obviously you don't just become Australian Ninja Warrior by not tuning into your body a little. So tuning into that, do you do it in reverse sometimes? Because there is spirit, there is things that are calling you, there are your values, you're in alignment. Do you ever look at the body and go, and maybe this is a bit Louise Hayes, but you're looking at what the fuck is going on left side, left shoulder, and reverse engineer it and kind of go, okay, this is what's going on in the 0.01. What does that mean about the 99?
So to clarify, for those who don't understand the question, I absolutely love this question. The question is, I've got knee pain. Instead of saying there's something wrong with my knee, you could look at it in a way that says, okay, well, what does the knee symbolize? And is there an energy interference that is causing the knee pain? Right? Is that what you mean?
Absolutely.
Cool. So the answer is absolutely yes. Because I now know that 99% of me is non-physical in nature, then I have to go there first. Otherwise, I would be, as a physician or scientist, I would be just really missing the mark. Why the healthcare system, or the so-called healthcare system, the sick care system, is so limited, because they don't do anything until you're sick. And this is part of the issue. The symptoms don't occur until the lower end of the scale. You could have cancer. My mom had cancer for 15 years before they knew anything. So it's not about just how we feel, it's about how we function. So to optimize function, you need to optimize energy. To understand energy, you need to be conscious of how energy works. And we're just obviously having this conversation. So absolutely I do. If I have knee pain, I know what this means to me now. Instability, the feeling of instability. But for me, health now, so I'm a qualified nutritionist. Also, I was a personal trainer for 12 years, physical education teacher, as you mentioned, 2-time Ninja Warrior, semi-finalist, hit the buzzer. Like I've done huge things, black belt martial artist, like I've ticked some big boxes. Yeah, the vessel is critical because without it, there is no human experience. Having said that though, there are way more aspects to my health. The greatest advancement of my health in, let's say, the last 10 to 15 years has been my emotions. And this is where I really, really, really want to emphasize this for people, because you look great on the outside, bro, sister, you're not happy on the inside. Okay. And if you are, God bless you, good for you. But there are parts that could always improve. There's more to this experience, and you know it in your heart of hearts. For me, so strong I was in the mind, so strong I was in the body, so impeccably weak I was emotionally. So I needed to go back, bro, and I needed to sit with me. What parts of me don't love me? What parts of me don't really see me? What parts of me don't believe in me? What parts of me have wounding that was passed on from my predecessors or parents and whatever else? And how can I come back to that? And so I've had from the age of 22, I started this journey consciously. I started measuring everything in terms of my health, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, chemically, you name it. And from 22 now to 40, I am so much more healthy, bro. And the greatest leap of all leaps has been the emotional evolution. And this is the key, because it's the quality of our emotions that dictates the quality of our life, because we feel it so much. And that's where I think the greatest, to talk about physical health, oh yeah, let's go there. But if your emotional well-being is not in alignment, it will cause the habits that destruct the physical health. You'll eat the pizza, drink the wine, eat the shit, have the sugar, not because you want to, but because you feel you need to.
Brothers and sisters tuning in, discover your infinite potential, your quantum potential. Please, I'll put a link to the quantum experience and how to connect to that with Dr. Espen Hjalmby here. Espen, brother, it is always such a pleasure and a treat to have you here and just drop in. And we're talking about the scale before 0 to 100, and is this person 30, is this 40? I feel like I'm vibrating pretty solid 110 when I drop on a call with you pretty much every time, bro. So thanks again for showing up and just always doing you, being you, and just sharing yourself so openly and vulnerably. On behalf of myself, Inspired Evolution Tribe, and audience, man, wishing you all the best on your journey forward.
Thank you. God bless you, bro. And to everyone listening, just remember, you're the hero that you've been waiting for. You're alive in the most incredible time in human history. Just remember that. You are beautiful, you are powerful, you are loved, and you are important. Now go and make your life magical. Thanks so much.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, leave us a comment. And if you want to stay in tune for new episodes launching every Monday, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay inspired to evolve.